Steve Wiggins, and this is the Groundworks Ministries podcast. Today we're reading from the book of Exodus, chapter 18. So let's focus on verses 9 through 12. "Blessed is the Lord," Jethro exclaimed, "who rescued you from Pharaoh and the power of the Egyptians, and snatched the people from the power of the Egyptians. Now I know that the Lord is greater than all gods, because he did wonders at the time that the Egyptians acted arrogantly against Israel." And then Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, brought a burnt offering and sacrifices to God. And Aaron came with all the elders of Israel to eat a meal with Moses' father-in-law in God's presence. Now the lesson of Israel's exodus affected more than just Israel and Egypt. The four people groups most closely impacted were, number one, obviously Israel. Number two, also obviously Egypt. Number three, the kingdoms of Canaan. And number five, Moses' Gentile Midianite in-laws. Israel responded to God by following him. Egypt responded to God by defying him. The Canaanites responded by challenging him. And Jethro responded by worshiping him. Now, not since the meeting of Melchizedek and Abraham has the Bible given us such a clear indication of God's acceptance of worship from a people other than Israel. Melchizedek was a priest king of Salem, and Jethro was a priest of Midian. Neither were Israelites. And what is interesting about Jethro is that he burnt offerings and he sacrificed to the Lord in the presence of the Lord. Jethro and all of Israel's leaders ate a meal, Jews and Gentiles together, and this is a symbol that the Lord will accept the worship of all who acknowledge him. You know, that word acknowledgement means more than just mere intellectual assent or the belief that God exists, or just to acknowledge him. Hey, he's over there. Yeah, I see him. No, it's more of a turning from an old way and an old belief and turning to the ways of the Lord. It's the cessation of false religion, and it is the assumption of faith in Yahweh that constitutes biblical acknowledgement. So the absence of divine protest, God stopping, going, hey, don't do that to me. It indicates that Jethro's heart, at least in that moment, was considered faithful by the Lord. Interesting also is the image of the Goyim, the Gentile, Jethro, bringing Moses' bride and his children to him. And in a similar way, the Bible says that the nations will someday carry the children of Israel back home. It's a beautiful picture of how a mostly Gentile church will share the gospel with the Jewish people. Isaiah 49, verse 22. "This is what the sovereign Lord says. See, I will beckon the Gentiles. I will lift up my banner to the peoples, and they will bring your sons in their arms and carry your daughters on their shoulders." You know, the church is complete with both Jew and Gentile believers. And that is called the bride of the Messiah in Revelation chapter 19, verse 7. Are you going to be at the marriage supper of the Lamb, or are you going to be in a lake of fire? I know that sounds really harsh, but really those are the two options at the end of it all. I'm Steve Wiggins, and this is the Groundworks Ministries podcast. Check us out at groundworksministries.com.